Rules, Extreme Rules 2021, and very much looking forward to this. We've done these kind of streams before, and if you are watching this thinking, wow, this looks like it's quite a long video, don't worry, we're going to try and go through the predictions first, and then what we'll do is we'll jump into the chat, get people's thoughts, get people's theories, kind of take it from there, and then really try and dig into a few things. But what I want to do is just spend the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just kind of going through each match. There's not that many matches, in all fairness. There's about 6 matches. So going through each match and just quickly sharing some thoughts, and then we can like dig into things. All in all, this will probably be, I don't know, like an hour, hour and a half, something like that. But if it goes 2 hours, then fine. We'll just kind of go through a few theories and a few thoughts and really dig into some Extreme Rules. And I am looking forward to this pay-per-view because I do think there's a few matches here that actually look quite intriguing. So we can get into that. One of the first things I do want to say, though, is there are only 6 matches. I am expecting some other matches to be added this week. One of them might be Big E versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton won the opportunity to face Bobby Lashley for the championship. You might remember that Raw, just gone, was meant to be Randy Orton versus Bobby Lashley. Now, we didn't get that. We actually got the tag team match. Am I right in saying that? Did we get the tag team match? No, we did get that match, didn't we? We did get that match. I'm getting all mixed up, so in my mind, I was trying to think about what matches we might see get added. It was meant to be the tag match, and then they changed it to the championship match. So that's what might get added. They might add that tag team title match because we didn't get that. So they ended up changing those plans. So that might get added. The other thing I was thinking about as well is Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins seems to be doing a little bit of a feud with Edge. We don't know what's happening with Edge. And so could it be that someone else steps forward and kind of takes Edge's place? So I'm looking at like Seth and Edge, but I don't think it will be. But it could be someone else. Be weird for Seth, who's, seemingly like ready to wrestle, for him to just miss this show. So I'm thinking Seth's getting quite a bit of spotlight at the moment, so they could do something there. I'm expecting something with RK Bro. I mean, RK Bro are like, red hot at the moment. I don't see why they would leave them off this show. So if we are looking at things that could get added, then, maybe it's going to be something along those lines. Let's get to the matches that we do have anyway, and then we can talk further about what matches might get added afterwards. So the matches that we do have, let's go to our first one. So this is Liv versus Carmella. So Liv Morgan versus Carmella. This one was added on Smackdown. And it's a way, really, of getting Liv Morgan, I think, onto the show. I don't know if they're that bothered about getting Carmella onto the show, but I do think they want to get Liv onto the show. I think they do have big plans for Liv Morgan. And as we said before, Liv Morgan is very much someone that has got fan support. Obviously, with the Riot Squad, we were seeing that Ruby Riott got released, Sarah Logan got released, but they kept Liv Morgan around. They did not release Liv Morgan. So 2 of the 3 members have gone. That has to say that they see something. There has to be a reason why they've kept her around. So she's still very young. And they are giving her a little bit of TV time. Obviously, in the build to Money in the Bank, they actually had her kind of doing a story about how she couldn't get into a qualifying match and she deserved to be in the Money in the Bank, so on, so on, so on. So every time you get around to a pay-per-view, they tend to give her a little something. They've given her a little something here. It's not like the best thing in the world, just a match against Carmella, but it gets her on the show. It gives Liv Morgan fans something, and I really think she's going to win, and I think she's going to do really well in that Queen of the Ring tournament that's coming up. So she could win it. I mean, I honestly would probably have her win it. I think you could have someone like Naomi win it as well. But, Liv Morgan, we're at the point where she's been on the main roster for a few years. So if we're going to do something with her, we could start doing something now and start pulling a trigger. We already tried something before and it didn't work out with the whole Lana Rusev marriage mess. So that didn't work out. But, we're at a point where we could try something again. And I think giving us some wins, building her up towards Queen of the Ring, and then maybe having her win that would really set her up for a big 2022. So I actually think she could be a real breakout star in 2022. Which sounds weird because she's been on the roster for a few years, but she's struggled to get TV time. A lot of women have struggled to get TV time. So this match might be setting up some big things that are to come for Liv Morgan. So don't sleep on this one. It's going to be worth watching. And the other thing as well is I've always been a bit critical of her matches, saying that they've never really caught my attention. They've never really caught my eye. She's definitely got some decent moves. She definitely is putting the work in. She keeps seeing training videos of her, like, putting that work in. This is a great opportunity if they give her some time against Carmella for her to go out there and show what she can do. So I'm looking at the performance. I'm looking at how she carries herself, the presentation, if she gets the win, all this kind of stuff. And we'll see kind of what comes out of it. But I'm thinking Liv Morgan is going to get the victory in this match. Next up, we've got Usos taking on Street Profits. And I am, again, looking forward to this. Obviously, the Bloodline is probably my favourite story that's going on in all of wrestling. The Usos and Roman Reigns and their domination. And obviously, the Street Profits are challenging that domination. So can the Street Profits win the Smackdown tag team titles? I don't think so. I think that we're still fully on board with the Bloodline story. I do think that the Street Profits are very credible opponents. There's not too many proper tag teams on SmackDown. There's a lot of teams that are like thrown together like Dirty Dogs, who have actually been together for a while now. The Mysterios, who are father and son, but there's a little bit of drama there. And for me, Dominic's not quite main roster caliber. As much as they're trying to present him as being main roster caliber, it's not really working for me. I don't really get excited when he comes out. I'm just not really into his character. I just think that he doesn't have a very impressive look. In ring, he can do some decent stuff, but not really above what we see in NXT. I mean, he's nothing special in the ring, let's put it that way. And I don't mean that as like disrespectful, but yeah, I mean, of all the tag teams that are on SmackDown, this is probably the best two you could go with. I would have been interested if Street Profits were champions, if we'd have done Otis and Chad. I think that could have been interesting if we'd have gone with Alpha Academy. But you're not going to do Usos, who are heels, taking on Alpha Academy that are heels. So we're not going to get that. So yeah, this is probably makes the most sense, but I don't think the Usos are losing this. I'm going to say that the Usos retain the titles here, and we continue with this whole Bloodline story. Next, we've got Becky and Bianca. Now, there's a couple of things to this one. So Becky came back and won the title at SummerSlam. She won it in 20-odd seconds. Bianca wasn't ready for Becky. She was getting prepared for Sasha. Sasha couldn't make it. Carmella came down. Becky took her out and then said, should we blow the roof off this joint? And Bianca agreed. They had a match. Becky wins, right? So Becky's the champion. She's been healing it up recently. They're building support for Bianca. I do think that Bianca could go on to regain the title, but I actually think that she should now be made to wait. I don't think she should get it so soon. Certainly not now. So my pick is Becky, but I am actually going to go a little bit further, and I'm going to say, what if Becky wins and Sasha returns? Because we haven't seen Sasha. And I think that Sasha and Becky would be an amazing feud. You might still be able to keep Bianca in and around that kind of conversation, but you could actually take Bianca off in a different direction. What if, we end up getting, say, Bianca and Naomi in a feud? We get a frustrated Naomi that just turns heel and decides that she's going to, go after Becky. I feel like Naomi is on a collision course with Sonya, if I'm being honest, so I don't think Naomi will do that. But I do think there's a chance that Sasha comes back. She's got to be coming back soon, so I expect Sasha to return. And I think that she could come back here, challenge Becky. That would move Bianca a little bit away from the title. I actually think that Bianca had an all-right run. But, Becky being champion, she's got more star power, more name recognition. You could do really good feuds with Becky and Sasha, who I did actually look before this. They did feud at the end of 2019. And honestly, I didn't remember it. They had a match at Clash of Champions in 2019. They had a 20-minute match, Sasha and Becky. And I do not remember it. And I definitely would have been watching it and doing watch-alongs and everything. But it's one of those. If it happened before the pandemic, I don't even remember it happened anymore. Like, anything before about March of 2020 just doesn't exist anymore. So, Clash of Champions was about September of 2019. And we did get Sasha versus Becky. So, I think you could do it now. Obviously, there's been a lot that's happened since then. And actually, this time, you could have it where Sasha's the face, Becky's the heel, and that would be a very interesting dynamic. So you could actually even look at it that way. I think they will want to put the title back on Bianca, but why do it so soon? Why would you want to do it now? Why would you even want to do it at the next pay-per-view? For me, I would actually move Bianca away from the title picture now, move her on to a different feud, and have Sasha and Becky feud for a while, and then you can always bring Bianca back round, maybe around WrestleMania time. Bianca could, of course, come back into that picture at any point, but I would keep her away. I'm not a fan of short title reigns, and honestly, if Bianca wins the title back, what was the whole point of the whole SummerSlam thing, where, Becky just ends up having the belt for like a month? What's the point in that? And I think that I would be tempted to do Becky as champion versus whoever the champion is on Raw as well for Survivor Series. So you could do Becky versus currently Charlotte. We'll have to wait and see when we get there. But I think I would definitely be getting past Survivor Series first, and then maybe looking to pick up this feud around that time. So whatever you think, you might think that they're going to stick with this, and they absolutely could. I mean, they could just carry on with these two feuding and Sasha doesn't get involved. That's absolutely realistic. But the one thing that I, probably feel the strongest about is that we don't need to put the title back onto Bianca, anytime soon. And with Sasha around in the background, I think that's quite interesting. Next up, we have got Charlotte and Alexa. Now, this is a strange one because obviously I'm not the biggest fan of the Alexa character, but there's no denying that it is starting to get over. Not long ago during her segments, there was "We Want Wyatt" chants, and there was a conversation, a discussion. There was rumours that if the Lily doll didn't do well over SummerSlam, then there was conversations they might start to move away from the gimmick. I remember going into SummerSlam, there was real talk that it just wasn't quite connecting and it wasn't quite doing it. I mean, if you remember at SummerSlam, it was Alexa versus Eva, and it was a car crash. It was just an awful match. Awful match. It was just awful. I don't know of really too many people that enjoyed it, to be honest. So we kind of came out of that, and it's a bit of a surprise that as a result of that, we now find ourselves here. But since SummerSlam, which wasn't that long ago, but since SummerSlam, things have definitely taken a turn for the better for Alexa. Reports are coming out that the merch sales are very strong, and the Lily dolls are selling well, to the point where they've actually now added a Charlie doll to the line, and so there's actually a second doll that you could purchase from WWE Shop now, this one based on Charlotte. So that was something that we got on Raw the last week. And the other thing as well is you can't deny, I can't deny either, the fact that there was support for Alexa during Raw, and the fact that there are people that are clearly into this. So fine. I mean, fine. If people are clearly into it. Where do we go from here, though? I really don't know. I think that Alexa stands a chance of winning this. I was looking at the bookmakers' odds on this one, and the bookies have got this even. Looking at a couple of websites, it seems like the bookies are a bit split. Charlotte could retain, but it could be that they pull the trigger on Alexa as well here. So I'm going to say that Alexa does win the title. I mean, I don't think I'm predicting any other title changes on this show. So I feel like there should be a title change somewhere. So because this is so close, I'm going to say that we do actually get a new champion, and it will be Alexa. And we'll see where it goes, basically. So yeah, I'm going to predict a title change. The other thing as well is, let's not forget, there was a lot of controversy around Ric Flair and the dark side. And I just don't know how much, are they going to want Charlotte Flair to be their champion right now? I think that's kind of blowing over anyway. Obviously, the world moves on. And I don't think anything to do with Ric Flair shouldn't really reflect on Charlotte. So I'm not convinced that that's going to make any difference whatsoever. But it's worth throwing out there because it is a talking point. Ric Flair really came out of that episode looking bad. So it is a talking point. So I'm going to say it doesn't play a part, but they do change the belt. Next, we've got Priest versus Sheamus. So Damian Priest versus Sheamus. And this is for the United States Championship. Now, Harley keeps reminding us that there are no stipulations for this Extreme Rules. We keep being reminded that this is Extreme Rules, and none of the stipulations, well, there are none. There's no extreme stipulations here at all. There's no cage matches, there's no chairs, there's no tables, there's nothing. I kind of feel like this match really could benefit from something. I think these two, maybe in a street fight, would be a lot of fun. And you could maybe do something along those lines. Because these two are just brawlers, aren't they? And it's going to be fun anyway. I'm not crazy into this match. I think Sheamus has actually had a decent year, but his momentum seems to be slowing. And Damian Priest, for whatever reason, doesn't feel like the biggest thing right now. Obviously, up until WrestleMania, he was with Bad Bunny and just didn't do it for me. After that, he continued feuding with Miz and Morrison, and it didn't do it for me. It's only been really in the past few weeks where, he's won the United States title, and, we're starting to see him actually getting into segments like opening Raw. He actually opened Raw not long ago. That he's starting to feel like a bigger star, like they really do see something in him. So I do think he is a star for the future, but I'm waiting for him to really start. I don't get that feeling when he comes out when I'm like, wow, Damian Priest is here, and it's kicking off now. I don't get any of that. I don't feel that in the slightest. So I'm hoping this is going to be a really good battle. I want a really good match. I want a really good fight. And I'm hoping that that's going to then, really get my interest and really elevate Damian Priest in my mind. But I think that Priest retains. And I think if any match needs a stipulation, I'd probably slap it on this one, to be honest. Because I think a street fight between these two could be a lot of fun. Because it's going to be a brawl anyway. So we'll see. We'll see if there's any developments with this one. But Priest has not had the title long. There's no point putting it back onto Sheamus. Priest is a star for the future. It's too soon to take the title off him. Priest retains. And then that brings us to the main event. Gritted teeth for Demon Balor. I think they're calling him Demon now. Demon. I don't think it's Demon King anymore. Demon. That's what they put on the graphics. So Demon versus Tribal Chief, and it's a big fight. And it's a fight that you don't want to see either lose. I mean, it's a big fight because if Roman wins clean, then people are going to be upset. If Demon wins clean, there will be some that will be upset. More people will be happy if Demon wins. But, this Roman kind of story is the best thing in wrestling. So I hope they book this right. Whatever they do, I hope they get this right. if they really feel that now is the time to put the title onto Finn, then I could go with it. It would be a big moment on a smallish pay-per-view, but I could go with it. It'd be, I'd be down for it. But I'd be surprised if they did. I think a lot of people are expecting Roman to retain. Obviously, he's going to be defending against Brock in the future at Saudi, but that doesn't really spoil anything because that match can just be made a non-title match. So Brock against Roman can just be made non-title. They've got enough reasons to be fighting anyway because the whole Paul Heyman thing. That it doesn't really need the belt to be involved. So if Demon wins here, it doesn't really affect Saudi Arabia. You still get Brock versus Roman, and then you'd get Finn defending against someone else. And then, Brock eventually would get a title opportunity. And actually, that would work out all right because Brock beat Finn. And this time it would be quite interesting because Finn would be going in as the champion. And it'd be interesting to see if he could survive and retain rather than being the hunter. He would be the hunted, and it'd be a different dynamic. So, yeah, it would be a bit interesting. Finn could win, but I don't think he does. Just because I think that SmackDown's getting really good ratings. I think they're really happy with the Roman title reign. Why rock the boat? Why? There's not really a need to rock the boat. I think you milk this for as much as you can get out of it. This Roman title reign, you just keep milking it and just keep going for as long as possible. And then when it maybe starts to falter a little bit, or it seems like the interest has dipped or the momentum is slowing, have him lose the belt, and then all of a sudden it's a completely different dynamic. So I'm going to say Roman retains, but I'm going to say that he actually loses the match by DQ. I think that Finn wins by disqualification. Roman loses. I don't know why the disqualification happens. I don't know if the Usos get involved. I don't know if Roman takes something too far or how it's going to actually play out. But I think that we are going to see the belt stay with Roman, but Finn Balor wins. That means that Finn Balor can talk about how he beat Roman, and that's going to get to Roman, and then they will get a rematch in the future. And I just have to hope that Finn is the one. I have to hope that Finn Balor can win in the future, because I really don't want that person to be Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar does not need the rub. He doesn't need like that kind of push, because he's Brock Lesnar. He's Brock Lesnar. He doesn't need to beat Roman. He's already one of the biggest stars they've got. And I kind of think like he doesn't need to really be around the title either. So I would pull the trigger on Finn, because you know that if Finn Balor's contract comes up, he is AEW bound. I don't know when his contract's up, but he is AEW bound. So you better look after Finn Balor if you're WWE. Otherwise, you are losing him. He will go to AEW. His relationship with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and all those people that used to be in New Japan, where Finn Balor came from. He was a leader of the Bullet Club. He started the Bullet Club. He named the Bullet Club. And obviously, Kenny was in Bullet Club. Bucks were in Bullet Club. Like, he knows all of those people. They would take him in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, they would take Finn Balor. But, so yeah, if Vince wants to keep him away from AEW, he better book him right. And that's got to mean a good, lengthy world title run. But it doesn't have to mean now. So, yeah, I think we are going to see Roman retain, but he loses the match. So those are the 6 matches that we've had so far. As I said at the start, there's going to be some other matches that surely get added. And I do expect RK Bro or Randy certainly to be a part of that. You would think Big E would be a part of that. I can't imagine the WWE Championship not being defended. So Big E versus Randy Orton. Don't know, might go that way, but it might also be that we actually get Bobby and MVP going up against RK Bro, and that gets added. If it does get added, then RK Bro retain. I don't think they're taking those titles off RK Bro yet. I think I could see Riddle winning the big one, I don't know if it'll be in about 12 months or so, but we're definitely building towards that. I think Riddle is definitely one for the future. There's a few, actually. If you look at, like, Damian Priest. So, if you actually look at this, you've got Liv that they're building up. You've got, obviously, Bianca that they've already done a good job with. You've got this new Alexa gimmick that seems to be, it's around the title picture, so they seem to be believing in it. Damian Priest they're building up. And then Finn Balor has returned after being in NXT for 2 years. So there is a little bit of development there. There are some people that are sort of coming through. It's just that, Balor, we've seen before. Priest is new, in all fairness. Liv, been around for a while. And Bianca has already been champion. But they are coming through. There are definitely things happening. So you've just got to take the positives. So, those are the predictions. And we will jump into the chat, get your thoughts. As we said, we are around for a little bit. So I'm quite happy to go through your theories, see what you lot think, and jump into it. Because I do think this show is... it's a decent show, and there is a couple of matches there. Like Roman Balor is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. I do think that Becky and Bianca, there's potential for a real story there. And the Sasha curveball. Don't sleep on Sasha. I am expecting her to come back at some point. And Priest versus Sheamus, certainly if it gets a stipulation, could be a lot of fun. And I want to see what Liv's performance is like. And there's a few things on this. Considering there's only 6 matches, there's a few things here that I think are a bit tasty. Richard K said, why is it called Extreme Rules but there's no stipulations? Like Last Man Standing, Steel Cage. There's nothing at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that we will get some added. So I wouldn't worry about it at this stage because I don't think this is the final card. We've still got a week to go. So we've still got a Raw. We've still got a Smackdown. If by the end of this week if by the time we get to the show there are no stipulations, then feel free to sound off, right? Feel free to shoot off in the Extreme Rules watch-longs that we'll be doing. This time, like next week, we will be doing... I don't think it'll be exactly this time, but it will be on a Sunday next week. We will be doing the Extreme Rules watch-along. Feel free to, moan about it. But with a week to go, I expect them to do something. I think there'll be something. It's not always... every match, though, that gets a stipulation. You tend to see it be like a couple of matches. Like last year, it was that eye for an eye match, wasn't it? But there were normal matches on the card as well. So we had eye for an eye. We had the swamp fight as well. So they'll chuck something in. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I think that you could see Damian Priest and you could see Sheamus get a stipulation added to it. Or they could just make a new match out of nowhere that's got, Randy versus Big E or whatever, or RK Bros versus AJ and Amos, or RK Bros versus Bobby and MVP, and that will have a stipulation put on it. So we'll see where we are in a week's time. Kevin, shout out to you, buds. I hope you are well. Alexa Bliss Gamer 0809 says Alexa Bliss is going to beat Charlotte so bad that she sends her to SmackDown. That could happen, in all fairness, because I've got Alexa. I mean, I said Alexa would win. So I think Alexa wins, and you could be absolutely right. Maybe that's what they do. They send Charlotte to SmackDown and move her away from Raw. So it's a really good point, actually, because I do think that Alexa is very much a Raw character. I don't think she works on SmackDown. But she is a Raw character, and I could see them putting the title on her, and you could be absolutely right. That might, with the draft not that far away, it's not this Friday, it's the Friday after. So we've got Extreme Rules on Sunday, and then the week after, we've got the draft. So that Friday, we've got the draft. So, there's definitely potential for... that to affect some of these results, and you might have called it there. It could be, in fact, at the moment, the bookies have got that evens. I think both of them are minus something, one something. I think they're both minus about 110. So I'd be tempted to put some money on Alexa, because I think you could be right. Are you going to any of the WWE shows this week? I'm not, unfortunately, Brighton fan. No, I pretty much stream every single day, so it's close to impossible for me to go. If I was to go, then there's a chance that day we just wouldn't stream. So considering that I do Raw on a Monday, NXT on a Tuesday, AEW on a Wednesday, we've got Wrestling Escape Pod on a Thursday. Although I suppose that is probably the best day that I've got if I was to do something. But then SmackDown and Rampage on a Friday, UFC on a Saturday, Premier League football as well over weekends. Obviously Extreme Rules on Sunday as well. Like, there's no time. I'd have to cancel a stream, and I don't really want to do that, to be honest. But if you are going, I hope you have fun. Richard K said, do you think it'll be Brock versus Big E at Raw bar versus SmackDown Survivor Series, or Roman Big E? Because they are teasing it. So if Roman will go over at Crown Jewels. I think, I think that there's a lot of teases between Big E and Roman. So I think seeds are being planted, and I think that's the match I would prefer, to be honest. I mean, Brock versus Big E would be fun, but I think we can do other things with Brock. I don't feel like Brock needs to be the champion. The only thing is, if Brock loses against Roman, where does he go from there? I think the Roman Brock match is very hard to book, because you would have like Brock win by count out or something, but it's starting to get a bit messy, isn't it? I mean, we're already saying that about the Demon match. Like, Demon wins, but by DQ. And now Roman's going to face Brock, and that's going to be count out. Like, we need to get some proper finishes here. We need to get some proper submissions or pins. I can't see Roman submitting Brock. Could he pin him? Maybe, but what does that do for Brock? And they've spent a lot of money on Brock. So, it's difficult, isn't it? It is. It's difficult to know how to book that Brock Roman one. But what I would say is it's best to just take it a step at a time. Otherwise, you can get yourself really confused. So, first of all, I wouldn't even worry about it, because we need to see what's going to happen with Finn Balor. I'm pretty sure Roman's going to walk out as champion. And then, obviously, he's got to get past Brock Lesnar and see what happens there. So, trying to figure out what Survivor Series is going to look like is going to be very, very difficult. Let's put it that way. It's going to be very difficult to work out what Survivor Series looks like. But, right now, I think you're right. They are teasing Big E and Roman. So I'd probably be leaning that way. Did you know WWE is live at O2 tomorrow? I knew it was around. I didn't know what day it was where, but I know it is around in the UK, which is exciting. Do you think them giving Liv and Carmella a match on pay-per-view is to make up for MSG match being cancelled? I don't... Maybe, but I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think so. I mean, WWE, I don't think really are... You know, if there's no time, then so be it. I mean, they could always throw it onto the next week's SmackDown. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it didn't work out at MSG. You can always throw it onto next week's SmackDown, but the fact they're putting it onto a pay-per-view, I mean, it's just a nothing match, isn't it, really? It's a nothing match. There's no heat or anything going into this. There's very little kind of build for it. It's very much just a SmackDown match. The reason I think it's on pay-per-view is because it's a nothing match, but I think they're really trying to showcase Liv. I think they're really trying to showcase Liv and build Liv up and start the ball rolling. That's why I think it's there. I don't think it's got anything to do with, oh, we're sorry, we'll put it on pay-per-view for you. First of all, I don't think WWE care. Second of all, they're not that nice. And third of all, I think it's there to build up Liv Morgan. So, I don't know. It could turn out to be because of that. But right now, I think I'm probably leaning more towards that it's because they're going to build up Liv. Scassay is the best, says, answer my question. When's the next toy hunt? No, I don't know. I don't know. It's really difficult to go and do it because obviously we had the pandemic, then we had the Olympics, we had the European Championships, then we've had the start of the Premier League. So it's just been one thing after another. So we'll kind of get into a point now where, I can probably start thinking about trying to go again. Because as soon as we came out of lockdown, it was like, okay, I need to try and do this, and then boom, the European Championship started. And all I was going to do was watch the England games, but then we ended up watching all of the games, and it turned into this big thing. And actually, as a result of the success of that, we've now got a different channel, a second channel, a football channel, a Premier League channel. So Football Days is where we do the watch-alongs now for football and Premier League. So because of the success of that, that's done that. We came straight out of that and then went into the Olympics, and we were doing 12, 14-hour days every day. We've now come out of that, and then the Premier League started literally not long after that with a new channel that we've started. So it's just like, when do you fit in going to do a toy hunt and editing it and, getting it. It's got to be the quality that you would expect. I could go down the road now and do a toy hunt, but it ain't going to be what you know and love. So I don't want to do that. I want to make sure it's done right. So we'll get one done. We will get one done, but that's the reason for the delay. Epic Gamer said, it's a shame that WWE didn't do John Morrison versus The Miz. That would have been perfect for Extreme Rules. That's a good shout, that is. I Will Call the Cops says, I think 2 potential matches at Extreme Rules. Bobby versus Big E, WWE title, and maybe Miz returns tomorrow, and we do get Miz versus Morrison, which we were supposed to get a few weeks ago. Maybe Sonya versus Naomi. Sonya versus Naomi would be really, really interesting, because we haven't seen Sonya since SummerSlam last year in the ring. So that would be really, really interesting. And Miz and Morrison, I'm not the biggest fan of. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the drip drip stuff, or the Moist TV, or even Miz TV, or Hey Hey Ho Ho, and all this kind of stuff. So that one wouldn't really appeal to me. But I do appreciate that it's had a lot of TV time. They were together for a long time, and because they've now split apart, you might get a bit of animosity out of it, and you could do something quite interesting. But I think they would always want to go comedy, wouldn't they, with those two? That's my only concern. They'd probably have a Moist match or something, probably being like a mud match that they used to do with the women, like mud wrestling or something. I'd imagine this one would be like a water pool match or something, whereby you have to throw your opponent in the water to win or something. I'd imagine it would be something along those lines. So, yeah, well, I mean, I suppose that would provide something different on the show, but it's not something that I would be... I mean, I'd watch it. Let's put it that way, I'd watch it. But I would be probably, I'd be way more into Roman versus Finn Balor. So, yeah, very good examples, good suggestions. I could see all of those happening. Brian said, do you think The Fiend will come to get Roman? No. There's that Bray's gone from WWE, hasn't he? So we're waiting to see if he's going to go to AEW or if he's going to go to Impact. So he's out of WWE now. He was released. I know a lot of people say, like, the press release says Bray Wyatt was released. It didn't say that Wyndham was released. But the truth is that whenever anyone gets released, they tend to use the name that people know. So, I actually went back and looked at some of the other releases, and they say, like, Braun Strowman. We've come to the release of Braun Strowman. We wish him all the best in the future endeavors. They don't tend to use people's real names. It's just not what they do. They use the character names. So I wouldn't really read into that as anything. I wouldn't read into that it's like, they said Bray, they didn't say Wyndham. Like, he's gone. He's gone from WWE. And I think as well, the fact that we haven't seen him, it ties in perfectly with his no compete clause. So that says to me that he's waiting for this no compete clause to finish, and then he'll make an appearance somewhere. I mean, obviously we did a video the other day because he teased that he's coming back real soon. But I'm not expecting it to be in WWE, and I'm not expecting it to be in at Extreme Rules. But I can understand why people would think that, because that rumour's doing the rounds. I've seen it. People have said it to me. I think even in the comments of the video we did the other day, people were saying that the press release, when they announced that he'd gone, said Bray Wyatt. It didn't say Wyndham, but I wouldn't read into it. Days, the thing about the US title match, Jeff Hardy is going to fight for the chance at the US title against Sheamus. So if Jeff wins, then it might turn out to be a triple threat match. It's interesting. Even if Jeff wins, I still don't think he beats Damian Priest. So just so we're on the same page, I would still stand by Damian Priest retaining. Just because, like, he feels, like they're investing in him. And this title reign has been way too short to take it off him now. So got to think that that's going to go a little bit longer. So it could be that Jeff does win that and does get added to the match. But even if it was the triple threat right now, I'd still stand by that Damian Priest retains. But that's interesting. Jim Gore said The Miz is actually off filming Dancing with the Stars. Okay. It's a Ravager says, I'm going to go tomorrow to the O2. Have a good time. If you are going, I hope you have a really, really great time. As I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I literally stream every single day, then I probably would have tried to have gone to one of them. Because it's always fun, isn't it? Watching some live wrestling, having a drink, and just enjoying yourself. But yeah, it's just I stream all the time. So if you are going, have a great time. I hope you really enjoy it. Abdi said, what's the thoughts on Impact signing Braun and Murphy? I think Murphy's a great wrestler, but I don't think that he was needed by AEW. So I'm really pleased that he's found somewhere that he can work and get work. Because he's a great wrestler and he does deserve to wrestle and to work. He's brilliant at what he does. So I'm pleased for Murphy. Braun is big, impressive. He's always going to give you something. AEW might have been interested, but I don't know. They've got a few big guys, and there's a bit of upset there as well, isn't there? I heard Brian Cage at AEW was upset that he wasn't being used more. And I think even his partner came out and kind of said some. I think she said some at first, actually, and then he commented and kind of confirmed that he wasn't happy with how he was being used. So if they went to bring in another big guy, an even bigger guy in Braun, then you'd have to think he'd fall even further down the pecking order. So I don't know if there's not a few problems just behind the scenes where they've got a lot of talent and there's people not getting on the show now. And I don't know, I think they're definitely at the point where they're pretty much full. There's still certain people they would just bring in. If Kevin Steen was free, they would bring him in. If Finn Balor was free, they would bring him in. Bray Wyatt is free. I think they're going to bring him in. Right, so there's definitely people they would still bring in. Braun Strowman, I don't know that he is one of those people. I kind of feel like if you booked him the way he should have been booked in WWE, rather than train noises, yeah, and get these hands and things along those lines, if you booked him as an actual, scary big killer that when he comes down, the game changes. If you had him on a winning streak and really gave him momentum and gave him an interesting character, maybe even a mouthpiece, maybe even a manager or something, you could probably get something out of him. But I think that he's going to have high wage expectations. Although saying that, I don't know what Impact are going to pay him. So yeah, I think with the amount that AEW have brought on board, Braun's he's on the line, really. If they'd have gone for him, I wouldn't have been surprised. If they didn't, I wouldn't have been surprised. He's you could go for him and do something, or we've already got enough. So that it's probably fallen whereby we've already got enough. Because I have to think if AEW came in, there wouldn't be a decision. I'd have to think that he, would go to them. So, yeah, I'm pleased for anyone that's able to get work. So if Braun and Murphy have both gone over to Impact, then that's good for them. Brian said Finn is going to win, but do you think Edge is good? Do I think Edge is good? I do think Edge is good, yeah. I'm a big fan of Edge, but I don't think Edge really should be around the title. I think you can give him a title run. Maybe one more before he really does have to hang it up. But it's not the story that I'm most interested in. So, yeah, I like Edge. He's a legend, but I'm not looking for him to be a champion. I'm more excited about the youngsters that are around. And I say youngsters, I mean people like Finn Balor, who's not that young, but, he has been in NXT for 2 years. And before that, he's had one Universal title run for 24 hours. So, Finn Balor's not someone that's had, really long title reigns. And so I'm looking for him to come up and really establish himself as a main eventer. Kind of feel like Finn Balor deserves to be remembered as a bit of a legend. And at the moment, he's not. I don't think Finn Balor's a bit quirky. His gimmick's a bit quirky. He's the first ever Universal Champion. He's cool, but he's not going to go down like Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart. So I kind of think, what can we do with him over the next 5 years? He can wrestle quite comfortably for the next 5 years. So what are we going to do with him over the next 5 years to hopefully get him, I don't want to say in that same conversation because we've only got 5 years, but how are we going to get him closer to Bret Hart, closer to Shawn Michaels? Because I really feel that's where he should be. He is someone that is a fantastic wrestler, very intense, is a very good promo. He's got a very good look. The Demon character is fantastic. I kind of feel like we should be a bit, not send him back to NXT for 2 years, but actually keep him around that main event scene. Treat him the way we treat, say, Seth Rollins. So I'm really looking at what we do with him over the next few years. So for me, I'm more interested in that than I am in Edge that's come back now. I'm more interested in Finn Balor, Big E. What are we doing with Riddle? What are we doing with Damian Priest? What are we doing with Karrion Kross? I'm looking at all those people. So yeah, but he is a legend. There's no denying that he is Edge is a legend. Jonathan says, how's it going? Going all right, thank you. I hope you are well. Loving your pair. You've got a lovely pair, Jonathan. You've got a lovely pair, mate. Chilling out. Lovely chilling pair you've got there. So shout out to you. Liv Morgan is going to win. Usos are going to win. Damian Priest is going to win. Charlotte and Roman are also going to win, says Legend Killer. Belair is going to defeat Flair, says Connor. Well, they're not facing each other, are they? Belair's facing Becky, and Alexa is facing Charlotte Flair. So, we don't have that as a match. But we could, if Charlotte ends up going to Smackdown and Belair stays there, then we could end up getting those two facing each other in the future. I Will Call the Cops said WWE have just tweeted that by popular demand, WWE will be back for live events in November as well. Very good. Finn is an amazing coach and trainer. He has got a lot to offer, says Miguel. Delmar says, do you think Finn Balor getting injured during his push on Raw ruined how Vince viewed him? It definitely hurt. I mean, it hurt his momentum, and I think that it's, there was injury question marks. I mean, Vince definitely wants people that he can rely on, and that injury, I don't know, it's not his fault, but I think there's a group of people. Do you know what I mean? Finn managed to get to the point where he was in the conversation. I mean, it's heartbreaking for him, isn't it, when you think about it? He got to the point where he was in the conversation. He was in the conversation about being in that main event. They gave him the title. And the plan, I don't know what the plan was. When was he going to lose it? A week later? A month later? 12 months later? 2 years later? When was he going to... How long was that reign meant to be? maybe they didn't know and they were just going to take it a step at a time, see how things went. But the plan was never for him to lose it 24 hours later. So I kind of feel for him, because think of all those main events he missed out on. We're sitting here saying he should be closer to Bret Hart. He should be closer to Shawn Michaels. What if that injury never happens in 2016? What if that injury never happens? Where is he at this point? I don't know. He could be like Kevin Owens and, kind of used a little bit and then dropped out again. I mean, that would be likely. Or he could be someone a little bit more like Seth, that tends to be a little bit more around that main event picture. Or someone like Roman, that tends to be around that main event picture. Roman is obviously out on his own because he's booked so heavy. He, carries a show. I don't think that would ever happen to Finn. I think I really want to see him win this title. I really want to see him get the push that he should have got before. So, like how people got behind Kofi and Kofi Mania, because they always believed he should have been champion at some point. I kind of feel like Finn deserves that. I feel that for Finn as well. I felt it for Kofi, but I feel it for Finn as well, because he did get the title for 24 hours. So I want him to get a proper title run. So I'm not saying that he wins here or wins the belt here, but I'm just saying eventually he should definitely get it. Alexa says, you putting money on Alexa Bliss is a miracle. Yeah, well, I think she can win. I really do think I think they're going to look to pull the trigger on her. And I think the point that you made about Charlotte going over to SmackDown is a very, very valid one. I could definitely see that happening. Yeah. George Jones says, who do you think will be the big return at this pay-per-view? Well, I am personally leaning towards Sasha. I think that just going back to that match, the Becky-Bianca match, I think that you could have those two feud for a while, right? Easily. You could have them just go back and forth for a while. But I actually think that it would probably be better if we just got Bianca distracted with something else first. Because do you remember when we had Edge and Roman? And we could have done Edge and Roman for a long time. But we got to a point where Seth stepped in and kind of took Edge away from Roman. And that meant Roman could concentrate on other things. I actually think that it's not the worst idea to have Becky as champion for a while and have Bianca go off and get distracted by something else. I don't know what that something else is, but there's enough women around whereby we can sort something. And there's a draft coming up as well. So who knows who's going to go where. So I think we could distract Bianca, bring Sasha back, and then you could get some really good Sasha-Becky matches. But with Sasha as the face and Becky as the heel, it's such an interesting twist on what we've seen before. So I'd be down for that. But they might not go that way, and they might just keep going with Becky and Bianca. They really could just keep going with that. So we had a lot of returns at SummerSlam. We had Becky, we had Brock, of course, as well. So there might not be anything at this one. This show definitely feels like a B show. It feels like a smaller deal compared to SummerSlam that we just had. A big step down from SummerSlam, actually. But, I mean, obviously we've got crowds back. There's going to be a great energy to the show as well. And the card looks all right. It doesn't have... I don't know that it has really... I don't want to say that big match, because Finn Balor as a demon is definitely a big match, and it's going to grab the casuals. I just think a lot of the hardcore wrestling fans, like all you guys that are here, you're probably the same as me. You're looking at Roman, and you're looking at Roman versus Brock, and you're looking at the story of the bloodline, and you're probably thinking I just don't see them putting the belt on Demon right now. I mean, that's certainly where my head's at. But I don't want the Demon to lose. The Demon has never lost on the main roster. Pretty sure I'm right in saying that. The Demon has not lost on the main roster. His loss came in NXT. So I think we've got to protect this Demon character and not mess around with it like what Vince did with The Fiend. Because I do think when The Fiend... The Hell in a Cell thing was not a good look. Whatever you think about Hell in a Cell with Seth and The Fiend... It wasn't a good look at the end. That was definitely a misstep. Then we went to Saudi Arabia and Fiend loses to Goldberg as well. That is absolutely a misstep. So, you know, they definitely got stuff wrong with the Fiend character. You can't afford to do that with the Demon. The Demon is another opportunity. It's another opportunity to give a character like the Demon that I think people are really into, really intrigued by. He looks really cool. You can make some great figures of it. Blah 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 blah. All the same stuff as the Fiend. But if you're gonna have him lose, it's gonna bury him. It's gonna you know, people want these characters to be unstoppable, you know, and yeah, you've got to be really careful with how you book it. So I would have the Demon win by DQ or count out. So he wins, but he doesn't get the title. Yash says, Scott Steiner returned to the ring last week in Robinsonville for a match against Jerry Lawler at Jerry Lawler's Wrestling Reunion. Morris says the only reason the Demon is back is because there's no supernatural characters no more, that the Fiend and Bray is gone. Max says, I don't want Demon to lose, and I want him to win the title, but I also want Roman to thrive as the tribal chief. Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? This is the problem. Like, I kind of feel that they've booked themselves a little bit into a corner. There is a way out. There are ways out. But, I don't know, is the way out satisfying? Harry said, Days, I think they should change Extreme Rules and turn it into a Raw Roulette-style pay-per-view where they spin the wheel before each match to decide the Extreme Rule. Personally, I think this would be better. Mr. Save Your Time says, Seth Rollins is advertised for Extreme Rules. Do you think he will face Edge, or will they save that match for Crown Jewel? Well, I mean, the reports were that he's away for a couple of months. So the reports were that there won't be Edge around. So if those reports are true, then I have to think they're going to save that match maybe for Crown Jewel or even later. So I don't know if someone's going to attack Seth or what the plan is. I mean, Seth was doing a promo and talking directly to Edge, and no one... I thought someone was going to interfere, but no one did. So I didn't quite know where it was going, but it didn't end up going anywhere. So we need to see what happens on Friday first. But Seth is a big person to be missing from the show. I mean, if you look at the card, the fact there's no RK Bro, I think, is very surprising, considering how heavily they've been pushed. I think the fact there's no Bobby or Big E, and there's no WWE Championship match, I think that's quite surprising. And then you also look at Seth, and the fact that he's not on the card, and that's quite surprising as well. So, yeah, it's... There's definitely some more matches that need to be added. I can't see us just going to the show with 6. So maybe we are a little bit early with this, but the problem that I've got is that we stream every day. So we either do it today, did we do this today, or I don't know when we're doing this. So I've decided to go with it today. So we're going to hit, you know, a good 80-90% of everything anyway. So, you know, and anything that gets added in this final week, we can just cover in the time before. We tend to start about an hour before the show starts. So we'll have plenty of time to go through everything next week. And as we said, we are doing the watch-along for that next week. WWE Entertainment said, could you see Bianca beating Becky, then going on to Charlotte at Survivor Series, with Bianca beating all 4 women in 2021? I don't know, but do I see Bianca beating Becky next week? She could. I don't think she will. Then go on to face Charlotte. She could, but Charlotte would have to... Well, at Survivor Series, I don't know. No, I don't see any of it, to be honest. Because I see Alexa winning. I see Becky winning. I see potentially Charlotte going to Smackdown. So there's quite a few things there that kind of don't match up with that. So those things you're saying could happen. They could happen. But... I don't see it. I don't know why you would put the title back onto Bianca right now. I don't know why we would do that. I kind of feel that Becky won the title. She's got this heel character. I think she's going to like try and heel it up. I think she'll cheat to retain. I could see her beating Bianca. Becky will beat Bianca using some dirty tactic. So, yeah, I can see it going that way. So, you know, I don't know what it'll be. Some sort of distraction and hit her with the chair or even hit her with the belt. Becky hits Bianca with the title whilst the referee is distracted and ends up getting the pin. So, yeah, I think she's going to... I think what you see at Extreme Rules is Becky sort of cementing... It's already pretty much cemented, but cementing that heel turn that has... It's been quite slow, actually. It's been quite a slow heel turn, but I can see that being cemented. Monica King, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Monica King, sexy, sexy, sexy. Hope you are well, my friend. Shout out. Jim Gore says, I like that Raw roulette idea. Jim said, I've heard that beating the 4 horsewomen is on Bianca's wish list. She could do it. I mean, she could do it next year. I mean, that part of it I definitely could see. And that would be good. And if she made a big deal out of it next year, that would be good. Like, maybe, like, she sets herself the target of beating all 4 of them next year, and then she starts crossing them off. I think that would be brilliant. Yeah, I think in this kind of short term, I don't quite see it playing out that way. Miguel said, do you think Smackdown on October 22nd will be a normal show? The last time, the day after Crown Jewel, WWE had travel issues. Yeah, so, well, I mean, obviously there was a lot of drama around that. And I think that it will be a normal show. I think whatever happened last time cannot afford to happen again. I think it was quite scary, and there's a lot of reports that they wouldn't let them fly out of the country. There's reports internally. They're trying to make out like it was... I'd love to know the truth on it. There's been lots said, and I still don't feel like I've got the truth. Yeah, there's lots of reports that it was to do with the Saudi government. There's lots of reports it was to do with a payment that wasn't received. There was reports that it was technical issues. That's what they were told. So, yeah, believe what you want, but it can't happen again. Whatever it was, it can't happen again. So, I think they'll go and everything will be fine. Like, they've been before and everything's been fine. So, no, I think they'll be all right. I'm not expecting any drama there this time. Legend Killer says WWE need a pay-per-view in the UK. The UK would definitely appreciate it. The only thing is I can't see it being one of the kind of monthly pay-per-views. If they do it, then, well, I mean, it might turn out to be that month's pay-per-view, but do you remember when they went to Australia and they did Super Showdown? Like, it would have to be something along those lines. But I think the Australian government or someone, like, wanted a show, and so kind of ordered one, booked one, paid for one. I don't know who was behind that, but it wasn't. I mean, WWE didn't just go, shall we go to Australia? Like, there was more behind it than that. And I don't think, like, the UK have done that or have got any plans to do that. And I don't think WWE are really looking to give a pay-per-view to the UK. So they come over, they do the tours. That seems to tick the box. So, and Triple H said that Survivor Series 1992 was not a success. He actually did an interview not long ago, and he said, like, people keep saying we should do WrestleMania there, and how good SummerSlam was, SummerSlam 92. And he says that that SummerSlam was not a financial success for WWE. Obviously, it's a different time, and you've got the network now, and there's catch-up, and there's all this kind of stuff, so it might work a bit better, but I have to think that there's just not an appetite from Vince to do it. I mean, he's given us a few pay-per-views over the years, like Insurrection and things along those lines. But, yeah, nothing for a long time. If you was to get a pay-per-view, it'd probably be NXT UK TakeOver. And you might get a few stars come over that'll jump onto that, like Drew or Finn or Cesaro that was on one not long ago. So, Unless Boris asks for it. Days, what if Nia and Shayna have a number one contenders match for Alexa's title at Crown Jewel? I still think you've got to be careful with women in Saudi Arabia. So you could probably get away with having one women's match, but I don't think they're getting any more than that on the show. I mean, don't forget when WWE went over, women were not allowed to have matches, and they got to the point where women had a match. So I think they could get another women's match done, but I don't know how you're going to do it, because Alexa would have to change her attire. You'd have to be very respectful and everything over there. So there's a lot involved. So I don't know if you would want to. I don't know if you'd want to go down that road. But Nia and Shayna in a number one contenders thing, you could go that way. Yeah, and then do the winner facing Alexa. Personally, I want to get Asuka onto SmackDown. I think Asuka kind of sits better on SmackDown than she does on Raw. And she's out with an injury at the moment. So I don't know when she's coming back, but that'll be a moment. I mean, I don't know how long she's been away for, but have we seen her since WrestleMania? I can't remember if we've seen her since. I know she faced Rhea Ripley, but I don't know if we saw her afterwards. I feel like we have. But either way, it's been a while since we've seen her, and that would be a nice little moment. Kind of, you forget about like some of these people you just haven't seen for a while, and obviously Bayley will come back, but not until next year. She might be in the Rumble. Bayley might make it back for the Rumble. I'm not sure. Depends how her recovery is going. Rohan, shout out to you. Shout out to India. Ryan said, Days, big up to you. Hope you are well. I am psyched for ER, Extreme Rules. I thought you meant like ER as in like emergency room. You know, the thing that used to have George Clooney in it. I was like, okay, cool. Well, you enjoyed that episode. RCH Official said the draft is Friday, and I think Drew will be drafted to SmackDown. Yeah, there is, I put that graphic up on the community tab. There is a match between Drew and Roman, the main event of that show. Doesn't mean necessarily that Drew's going to SmackDown, because all the Raw superstars are there, because people are moving anywhere. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he is, but he absolutely could. And seeds have definitely been planted in the past for Roman versus Drew. Obviously, they faced each other at Survivor Series, and they were kind of on a bit of a collision course. There was a good little back and forth between them. I think it was around the end of last year, about 12 months ago-ish, maybe about 13 months ago, something along those lines. And we had a little back and forth between them, and they faced each other at Survivor Series. So I could definitely see them on a collision course. So him going to SmackDown, I could see that. I will call the cops, says Days. Alexa has surprisingly done nothing supernatural since August the 16th. That is true. I think it's harder to do it in a live environment. So, they're back under those kind of restrictions. Obviously they could still do stuff whereby Lily winks and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know I'm not just saying this because everyone knows I'm not a fan of that. But I don't know if that really is connecting with people. Like, is it a coincidence that, like, she wasn't really getting much support and now they've moved away from the supernatural stuff? She's starting to get a bit more support now. I don't know. It could just be a coincidence. It might have nothing to do with it whatsoever. Or it could. I honestly don't know. But it's undeniable that there is support out there for her. And people were chanting and they were involved in that segment on Monday. We had open the box chants, and then when Charlotte pulled out that Charlie doll, there was a reaction. It's not like that segment got booed out the building, so there's definitely supporters of it. Connor says, are you going to do a draft video? I do want to, yes. My problem is when, because ideally I would do it next Sunday. We would do this exact same thing, only for the draft. But the problem is next Sunday, is Extreme Rules, so I can't do it next Sunday. Next Saturday is UFC 266, so I can't do it then. And then on Monday we've got Raw. On Tuesday we might end up getting all the way to like Thursday. So I don't quite know. I don't quite know when to do it. I mean, we might do it this Thursday. In all fairness, maybe I'll just go really early. Maybe I'll just go really, really early with it or something. So I don't know. I definitely think that I do want to do one, and I always think that the streams are like a really fun way to do it. Because, to be honest, it's good to have like a 5 minutes at the start where we just go blah, 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 and just go through it, get the thoughts out there. And then it's really interesting to me as well to know what wrestling fans are talking about. Because I'm just not on Twitter. I just don't get to check, like, before I used to go onto Twitter, I used to go onto social media, I used to be able to see what people are saying. I do not get the time to do that now. So this is a really good way for me to see what you lot are talking about and what you lot think and some of the theories that are out there. And so I get a lot out of this. It's interesting. It gets me thinking about things and gets me thinking about things that I wouldn't normally think about. So I do want to do that with the draft. I think that could be a lot of fun. But you'll have to watch this space as to when we're going to do it. Listing says tomorrow is the day 8 versus 10. Come on, bullies. Lots of chokeholds. Oh, yeah. Good luck. I didn't know what you was on about. Shout out to you, Liston. I hope your day goes well. I Will Call the Cops said, Days, I could see Brock attacking Roman after the match at Extreme Rules. They even teased it on Friday, saying that Roman asked if Brock would be at Extreme Rules, and Heyman said, of course not. That's true. That is true. I don't know if they're doing that to like really drum up interest, and it turns out that he's not there. Just one of those whereby they build it up and, maybe there'll be a few people. Puts that seed of doubt in your mind. But it could also be that, I thought that when they were saying that Big E was going to cash in, that his cash in would fail, or that he wouldn't actually cash in. But he had every intention of, and he's there, but he doesn't actually do it. And but they pulled the trigger, and they did it. So I have to say fair play. I have to hold my hands up and go, well, they did it. They teased it. He said that he had every intention, and he did it. So they're teasing Brock right now. So could be there. He could be there. But I don't know. I think his appearances are quite limited, aren't they? Like, he only makes so many appearances a year. So I don't know if they're going to use one at Extreme Rules. They might do. It's a pay-per-view. It's a big deal. So they might do. Or they might just try and use him a little bit as we build towards Crown Jewel. So, bit torn on it. Not sure which way it's gonna go. Andy says Nia Jax should be drafted out of WWE. She's a horrible wrestler and dangerous. Austin, shout out to you. Austin and Monica flirting. It's nice. That's nice. I like that. So it's good. I like that. I've said for a while I would like to see some mod babies, and maybe that's what we're gonna get now. Monica said, I'm going to try and catch up with some of the shows. I tried to watch some highlights, but every time I start, something else gets my attention. Is that something else, Austin? Mr. Save Your Time says, Roman will face Drew for the Universal title on Smackdown October 1st. The match will be on the first night of the draft. Your thoughts? Mr. Save Your Time. My thoughts are, there's a few different ways that this can go, right? So, first of all, it might be a dark match. There's quite a few times where they advertise the main event, and it turns out it's the main event for people that go and buy tickets, but we don't see it. John Cena, for example, was the main event of Raw quite a few times, but we didn't see it. It was dark matches. So there's no guarantee that we see Roman versus Drew. If we do see Roman versus Drew, then there's no guarantee that that means that someone has moved anywhere, because we know there are Raw superstars on the SmackDown because everyone's there because it's night one of the draft. So everyone's there. Let's give these people a big main event, and so they could be that the actual main event of the actual show that we see is going to be Roman versus Drew. So there's so many different ways that it can go. We might not see it. We might see it. It might not mean that Drew moves anywhere. It might mean that Drew moves to SmackDown. Unfortunately, we don't quite know yet which way it's going to go. So I could see Drew being drafted to SmackDown. I could see that. If he is drafted to SmackDown, though, would they really give us Roman versus Drew on night one? I mean, you'd have to think that Roman versus Drew is a big match that they'd want to build towards. Are they really going to draft him to SmackDown and then give us that match on that same show? I don't know. I don't know. That's the bit that's not sitting very well with me, is the fact that that's a lot that they're giving us. That's an awful lot that they're giving us. So, I don't know. I'm a bit torn as to what it means. I'm a little bit torn as to what it means. And as I said, it wouldn't surprise me if it turns out that we don't even see that match. So, we'll see. We'll see. It's an interesting one. It's definitely an interesting one. Flirting. That's funny. Monica says flirting, but then Austin says we're not flirting. And then LSW said Austin and Monica are musting. Yeah. Or Onika. So it could be that as well. Onika 316 or Mustin 316. That's what the child will be called. Rowdy Warrior said, I'm still calling it. Sasha's back on SmackDown, and the match turns into a triple threat. Bianca regains the title, making her even more over by beating Banks and Becky. Okay, I like that. I don't mind that. That's interesting. And then maybe Banks and Becky can go off into a little feud or something. Or they'd both be heels. And they would then, go off and be heels on SmackDown. But I don't know if one of them would feud with Bianca. I don't know which one. Hopefully Becky. Because we've already sort of done the Bianca-Sasha feud. So that's a good idea. I could definitely see it going that way. Because my problem is, if she beats Becky now, what's the point of that Becky reign? What's the point? So, but if you bring back Sasha, I can see the point in Bianca beating both and having the push of beating both. So I like it. I think that's very good. Monica says, baby fever is kicking in. I want one so bad. Austin, hang on. Where's Austin? Let's see. Austin, please respond. What's this? It's okay. Me and Anna were getting married, and now Days says it's me and Monica. Well, can you just focus on one lady, please? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to get too drawn into the chats. We're here to talk about, Extreme Rules, but I mean, it seems like we've really opened up something within Monica here, because she's tweeting out, baby emojis and, bottle emojis, and I don't know. Maybe the bottles are for Austin, I don't know. Perhaps she has to look after the baby and give Austin a bottle. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. We need to talk Extreme Rules. We're going to be around for another... I reckon we can do another half an hour or so. Stick around for another half an hour. Because it's all getting a bit crazy in here. But, yeah. FO3 Vape Aidit, is it? FO3 Vape Aidit. I've gone with that. FO3 says, Days, I've got a theory. I think that Seth is going to interfere in Brock versus Roman next month. It makes sense because Seth is going to take out anyone that gets in his way for the title, and they have some beef. That's interesting. So if he interferes, so Seth's a heel, Brock's a face, Roman's a heel. Seth comes in, interferes. Roman's the champion. That would lead to heel versus heel unless Seth's going to turn face. I don't really want heel Roman versus heel Seth. So I kind of feel like we need to turn Seth face. But then where does that leave Brock? I feel like there's a couple of things there that we need to just work out first before we... I don't know. I feel like there is something there, but I feel like maybe Seth has to turn face first and then go after Roman's title, but then I still don't know quite where that leaves Brock. So, I think there's something there. Then would leave Bianca only to fight Charlotte. Steve-O said that she would only have to face Charlotte to beat the 4 horsewomen. She'd need to beat... Wow, I suppose she's beaten Bayley, hasn't she? She's beaten Sasha. She's beaten Bayley. She will have beaten Becky. And then, yeah, she needs to beat Charlotte to beat all of the horsewomen. WrestleMania says, Days, I got a theory. Bianca is not going to win because Becky will probably do a heel move and win the match. I agree. That's the way I think it's most likely to go. I think it's most likely to go that way. Austin said, twins? Girl. So I don't know what's happening there, but it looks like Monica and Austin are having twins now, which is pretty wild. Seth is going to cost Brock. It does make sense, says FO3. I will call the cops, says Bayley would have been such a big breath of fresh air for the Raw women's division, but unfortunately she's injured. Would have loved Bayley versus Becky. Only had one match on the main roster. So hang on. FO3 is saying that Seth will interfere to cost Brock. And what? Then we end up getting like a Seth-Brock feud. That could be good. Yeah, that could be good. So I thought you meant that he was going after the title. That's where I was getting confused. But if you're saying that he's going to cost Brock the title, and then that'll start a feud there, then I could vibe with that. Mr. Save Your Time says, do you see Bobby Lashley joining forces with someone since MVP is out due to injury? Yeah, WWE tweeted this out, didn't they, that he's out due to injury, but I didn't quite understand what it meant, to be honest. So, yeah, why is Bobby out with injury? Why is MVP out with injury? Is it it was something to do with Raw, wasn't it? And some sort of takedown or something along those lines. So, let me have a look. I probably should have a look. I only just saw it as like a passing glance that WWE had issued a statement. Okay, let's have a look. There we go. WWE. I'm following them for some reason. I didn't even know I was doing that. WWE returns in November. There's a picture of Dragunov. We've got some NXT stuff. We've got Roman. Blah, 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 blah. Ready or not, here they come. Bobby. God, how long ago was it that they put this out? I thought it was only the other day. They tweet so much, don't they? There is so much stuff on here. Becky Lynch, first homecoming. Blah, 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 blah. What's happening on Raw? Oh my God, where is it? The key. Oh my God, the key. The key on SmackDown. We've had SmackDown since they tweeted it, so I've got all these SmackDown things. But I don't know. I don't know if they'll put someone else with him. I don't know if it was planned. I'm guessing it's just storyline. I wanted to have a look and see it again. Checks him out. Finn Balor tonight. Honestly, I'm only back to Friday still. Here we go. Due to an RKO, MVP suffered a broken rib and is out indefinitely. So, I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's going to be, how long he's going to be out for, if it is genuine, if it's not genuine. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's true, if it's not true. I mean, my gut feeling is it probably isn't true. But what if it is true? I haven't heard Dave Meltzer talk about it. So right now, I'd have to think Bobby will just stay on his own. But, I mean, at the moment, Bobby's not even on this Extreme Rules card, is he? So, Days, what if Heyman turns on Roman and costs him the title at Crown Jewel? He could do. It's the guessing game, isn't it, at the moment? So, I don't think he's going to turn on Roman against Finn Balor at Extreme Rules. But we'll cross the the Crown Jewel bridge when we get to it. Do you think any NXT stars will be involved in the draft? If so, what brands do you think they're going to go to? We'll worry about the draft when we get to the draft. I honestly don't know. I mean, I think EO could have been called up. I think them, if they're going to do something with Johnny, they probably should be doing it. Austin Theory is floating around. Odyssey Jones has got an amazing look. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a few people that you could do something with, but I don't know if there's anyone like super obvious outside of maybe like a Dakota Kai or an Io Shirai, or I mean, we've already called up a few people recently with the likes of Karrion Kross. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone like super obvious. So I think there could be some people involved that do get called up, but I don't think there'll be many. I don't think there'll be many. WWE just wants to move on from Bobby and MVP. Big E will take all the spotlight now until we get a predictable return or call-out, says Shola. Andy says, I think Heyman backstab is definitely coming, and I hope it does happen at Crown Jewel. That would be extraordinary. Legend Killer said, can we get Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens at Crown Jewel? Well, I think Logan Paul was kind of around, wasn't he? We never saw him this last week. So, I don't know. I don't know what their plan was, or if there is one with Logan Paul, so... I will call the cops, says, I've got a theory. It will be Survivor Series in November, and there will be some 5-on-5 elimination matches. Legend Killer says we could get Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens. Do you think the Usos will go to Raw? Then what would happen to the Bloodline? Will he get new minions? I don't think so. I think they'll keep them together. I think I don't think they'll want to separate them. There's a whole story coming up with like Rock, isn't there? I mean, we're waiting for that. So to move the Usos away and weaken the Bloodline and separate them wouldn't really make much sense, to be honest. Monica says, from what I've seen, I strongly dislike the new theme. It's all happy and colourful. NXT is meant to be different. It's meant to be a dark void. It's meant to be reckless. It's meant to be twisted. The new theme doesn't bring that out for me. I don't know that they are trying to be reckless and twisted anymore, though. So I think the new theme is that they have absolutely moved away. They want you to know this is a new NXT. In fact, they're calling it NXT 2.0. So everything you're saying is correct. But I don't think they're going after that anymore. Like, NXT 2.0 is very much an NXT that is now representing something different. So, I understand, Monica, that your relationship with Austin doesn't maybe reflect joy and colourful happiness and vibrancy and things along those. I should imagine it is kind of very twisted, reckless. I should imagine it does feel like a dark void. So that's probably why you had that connection to the old NXT. But a lot of us, are really into like colour, happiness, joy, things along those lines. And I think you'll get there. You'll get there. I believe in you, Monica. I believe in you. You're going to embrace the colour. You're going to embrace the joy. You're going to embrace the vibrancy. And all of that kind of stuff, and it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Dark, moody, physical. Who will be the better champion, Finn or Brock? I think that... Well, I mean, you know what you're getting with Brock. Brock doesn't give any flips. The only thing is, his promos are not great, are they? His promo the other day was a little bit off. So, just, I don't know, just didn't feel like it, like, really landed. So, I think that Finn might be the better champion. I think the more credible champion will be Brock. But I think the better promos and even the better match quality will be Finn Balor. But Brock will always be a bigger draw. And he will always feel more legit. So, yeah, they've both got strengths. They've both got weaknesses. Ricky KV, shout out to you, my friend. We're around for another 20 minutes or so. I mean, we've actually done an hour and a half. Believe it or not, we've done an hour and a half. So, yeah, we have been here for about an hour and a half. This is our Extreme Rules 2021 predictions video. We've already gone through. For anyone that's just joining us, we have gone through each match. Let me just quickly blast down each match again. I'll only do this in a few seconds. That Charlotte moves to Smackdown. So Charlotte versus Alexa. I'm going to say Alexa wins. We get a new champion there. Priest versus Sheamus. I'm going to say that Damian Priest is victorious. Because I don't see why we would take the title off him now. And then the final match that has been made is Roman versus Finn. And it's a difficult one because you want both to win. I think Finn wins, but I think he's going to win by DQ. He wins the match, but not the title. So Finn Balor wins the match. It's the Demon as well. So Finn Balor wins the match, but not the title. And actually, this is the official graphic, the poster for Extreme Rules, and I'm just looking, it's like Drew McIntyre's not on the show, Seth Rollins is not on the show, Rhea Ripley is not on the show, Bobby Lashley is not on the show. There's actually only 3 people behind me that are on the show, and that is an official graphic for Extreme Rules, so I think there is opportunity and chance that we will get more people added and different matches added, but yeah, not yet. I can see people saying there's a bit of lag. There's been a bit of lag. The mic cut out. Did it? Little bit of lag was there. Straight from the football stream to the wrestling days stream, like a boss, says Andy. Finn Balor, who will acknowledge the tribal chief, says Afsan. Days deserves technical difficulties. How dare... All I've done is try to provide really good life advice for you and your fiancé, and I've got no idea why you've said such harsh things, so it's disappointing. That's disappointing. Days, I won my football game. Many congratulations. There was, but it sorted itself out. Thank you. Days, a random question. Did you ever like Lucha Underground? So, I never watched that much of it. I only saw a few episodes from, like, season 1. And, obviously, it was a different kind of presentation. I loved the arena that it happened in. And I also was watching Prince Puma, who I thought was a really great character. And I think, was it Mil Mascares, whatever it was. That guy was like jacked. He was big and he looked amazing. I think he was the champion at the time. So I watched a few episodes and it was just amazing wrestling. Like, kind of like if you took the Young Bucks and you just put them under masks and you just didn't know about them and they're just like all over the place. But it felt like a real contest. It felt like, yeah, there was a lot of flips and there was a lot of high-flying stuff. But it felt like they were proper matches. It really felt like these two competitors were trying to beat each other. And that's my problem with the Young Bucks matches, is that I watch Young Bucks and I don't always feel that. It always feels like there's a lot of spots for the sake of spots. But in the episodes I watched, I was quite impressed with what I saw. I didn't watch enough to really form an opinion because it was really hard to find. So I never actually got really stuck into it. So I've always said I think it's something that I could enjoy. People have told me that there is supernatural stuff in it. The only thing I would say is that if it's a different promotion and that's what, the problem, I don't want to keep coming back to the same argument, but the problem with supernatural stuff is if you've got one person with supernatural powers, how is that fair to everyone else? How is anyone else meant to compete against that person? If you've got the ability to do anything, like, how can anyone ever beat you? And where's the drama then? How's anyone going to beat you? How is it going to be competitive? How's it even going to be fun? So, that's one of my issues with the supernatural stuff. But if you've got a promotion where everyone has got superpowers and everyone, you've got several people that can do different things, then I'm a little bit more on board, because all of a sudden it's a bit like Mortal Kombat. You've got the guy that can spit acid taking on the guy that can throw fire or can throw ice, and they've all got their own special powers. And I kind of get it a little bit more then. But, I don't know. I'm a bit torn on it. I do want to sit down and watch it, because I think that there would be stuff that I would get from it. But if it becomes, silly, if it just becomes really OTT, really silly, then maybe it wouldn't be for me. But from what I saw, I loved the venue that it was held in. I loved the space that it was in. I loved the wrestling. And it looked good. I mean, it really did look good. I never saw too much supernatural stuff. But if I did, as long as, everyone's doing it, and that's what the promotion is, then that actually wouldn't necessarily be a barrier for me. So, yeah, I need to check it out. I do want to check it out. And I could probably find it on somewhere like Watch Wrestling, maybe. It was on Netflix, right? And I was really excited about it. And then it turns out it was American Netflix. And I didn't have a VPN or any way to watch it. So I've still never gone back and just gone through the old episodes. But I would really like to do that. I would like to sit down and watch it. But I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to do that, because time is not my friend. Days is a Starbridge Ultra. That's exactly what I am, yes. Mr. Save Your Time said, did you watch the triple threat between Roman, Big E, and Bobby at a live event? If you haven't, then you should. There's a full match on YouTube. I haven't, no. I didn't hear about it. David Hall said, what about someone who can spit dollars like an AT machine? That sounds like a 205 Live character. ATM machine. Well, I mean, Vince would love them. I know that much. That would be Vince's dream wrestler. A wrestler that can just spit money. Amazing. I Will Call the Cops says, Days, I can't wait for TLC in 2026. What are your predictions for that? Well, like I've said a lot tonight, let's just take it one step at a time, shall we? WWE Entertainment said, if Liv Morgan is being built for a push, should she go to Raw or SmackDown? I think Liv Morgan can work on both, and it all depends what her character is. If you really want to go out there with a character and go a bit further, then you probably need to go to Raw. If you're going to have her as being quite competitive in the ring and keep her character a little bit tame, a little bit on the tamer side, kind of base it on her, and she wants to be the best, and, a little bit like Bianca is, then SmackDown's fine. So it's what you want to do with her, to be honest. It's how far you want to go. Tharuka said, it's 1 a.m. here, and I am watching these awesome predictions. Tharuka, thank you for the kind words, but appreciate it. And as I said, the first part of this has been, quite heavy in regards to going through our thoughts and our predictions. But it's been kind of nice with the back part of this video to just kind of get your thoughts across and see what people are saying out there. So, yeah, it's cool. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Andy said their special move could be the cash flow suplex. If Liv is being... But we've read that one. What if Paul turns on Roman, since Roman keeps questioning Paul's loyalty to him? I actually would go the other way, and I would have Roman turn on Paul. So I would have Roman turn on Paul, and Paul then goes to Brock, and Brock's not interested, and then Heyman brings in someone new. So Paul Heyman can't turn to Roman. He can't turn to Brock. Brock doesn't want to know him. Brock's like, forget it. You turned your back on me. I ain't bringing you into my picture now. And, you know, he was actually being honest, like he isn't working with Paul. With Brock. Because I actually think Paul is, I think it's probably a bit obvious that something's going to happen. I think it's a bit obvious that it's going to turn out that he was working with Brock. I think if you used to ask wrestling fans now, did Paul Heyman know that Brock was at SummerSlam? I would imagine the result of that poll would be the majority of people would say yes. So I think that wrestling fans probably are expecting Paul to turn on Roman. So why not flip it and actually have Roman turn on Paul? And then Paul tries to go back to Brock. Brock doesn't want to know. And then Heyman brings in someone brand new. I really like that option. Because you've got the bloodline, which is established now, and Roman can talk for himself. And you can make the bloodline even stronger by adding Naomi, by bringing in someone new. Like, you can do something. You can replace Paul. But, yeah, Brock might need a manager, in all fairness. Brock might need a manager. His promos are a concern. But I really like the idea of someone new being brought into the fold. So, someone said before, what about Gable Steveson? And I thought that was quite interesting, the new Olympic guy. Thought that was quite interesting. Because he's legit, isn't he? And that's what Heyman loves. You know, Heyman's been with Brock because Brock's a beast. Well, we need a new beast. Who's the new beast that's coming in? Gable Steveson. Lou LFC said Paul Bings brings in Gable Steveson. I love that. Yeah, I love that. I think that would be really, really cool. Harry said that Heyman idea is brilliant. I'd love to see that happen. Bringing someone into this story would be interesting. Maybe Cesaro or Heyman or something along that 2014 vibe. I agree, Harry. I agree. Jim said, I don't think Paul knew Brock was at SummerSlam. I believe it was Brock stirring the pot. How about Sable as Brock's manager? Can she talk? I can't remember what her talking is like. I remember like she was on the mic a little bit, but it wasn't all that and a bag of potato chips. It wasn't the most exciting thing in the world. So if she can talk, then I might be a little bit more into it. But don't know. It makes sense, but we're trying to get Brock as a face, aren't we? And I don't know if would he be a face if Sable comes out? People would cheer for her. But she always looks moody AF, doesn't she? And she hates WWE, so I don't think she would do it. She looks moody. It's a good shout. It's a really interesting idea. But I don't know. I don't know that it would go that way. James Chadwick says Gable or Parker. Mr. Explorer said, please, can someone else take the story of Sammy versus Dominic? I just don't get it. I think it's time for Sammy to go after something bigger. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that like him being around like Dominic doesn't really do it for me. I think the story they're trying to tell, though, is that Dominic's losing and getting frustrated, and I think he is going to lash out sooner or later. And, at least this time, Ray didn't cost him the match. But it's trouble in paradise, isn't it? Like, they're definitely not on the same page, and things aren't rosy. So, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it's going to play out. But at the moment, it's not looking brilliant for Dominic and Ray. And hopefully at that point, then Sammy can just get out of that. This is the most ridiculous Extreme Rules preparation ever, with no extreme stipulations of any match on the match cards today, says Bakayuka. Brony says Heyman can't manage someone other than Roman or Brock unless they're already a big star. It doesn't work. Look at Heyman's other clients and how they failed. I mean... yeah, I mean, it is true, but I think if you get the right person, it's about finding that right person. I mean, Brock wasn't a big star when he started managing Brock, so it worked with Brock, But obviously Brock is like a generational talent. But, what if we book Gable Steveson the right way? I mean, he is an Olympic champion. I would say he stands a good chance. So you've got to be you've got to get that person right, though. If it's not Gable Steveson, then you've got to get that person right. WWE released a Roman versus Brock video. Are Ray and Dominic going to split up? Well, I don't think they're going to split because they are father and son. And they'll always be father and son. But, split as in, will we not get that tag team anymore? I would argue that's already done. I mean, we're just seeing a lot of Dominic in solo matches now. So, I kind of think the story of Ray and Dominic as a tag team is pretty much done. They've had their tag title run. First father and son duo to do that. They'll go down in WWE history for that. So, I think they're pretty much done with the tag team. So we'll have to see what they do next. Is John on leave again? Why was he involved in the last time he was on a show? John Cena? John Cena's gone again, yes. So he was at SummerSlam, and he obviously lost to Roman. Brock came out and started chucking him around, which was just for the live crowd, really. But now he's off doing films and things again. Do you know that you're skinnier than a twig, says Austin316. Well, I hope you don't speak to your kids that way. He's going to bring in Haaland, a.k.a. Parker Bordeaux, says Andy. Shauna says, I know that Naomi is the obvious choice to join the bloodline, but could you see Nia or Tamina join, as they are family as well, and make it one huge Samoan mafia? Well, hang on. Let's have a look at... Let's have a look at... I can't find an image. In fact, yeah, so could I see Naomi coming in? I could. Naomi, I could definitely see coming in. Nia, I suppose. I mean, she is family, isn't she? She is family, so it would make sense, but I don't know that I would go that way. I mean, it would make her credible. It would definitely make her credible, but I don't know that I see her coming in. Tamina, I really don't see Tamina. I really don't see Tamina. I think Naomi is the front runner. Or I think a lot of you are probably knowing what I'm trying to find. Here it is. I don't know how ready he is. But if you're going to add someone else to the bloodline... I think his name is Sifa Fatu, and he is the next, is the Uso, is the lost Uso. There's another Uso. There's another Uso, part of the Uso family. I think is his name Sifa Fatu. So he is signed to WWE. He is signed to the Performance Center. He came in recently and signed, and they've got high hopes, obviously, for him. But he is someone that I don't know where he is in his development, and he's someone that's down in Performance Center. We haven't seen him in NXT yet. They could, because of his look, they could just skip NXT and just move him straight to the main roster, couldn't they? move him straight to the main roster. I mean, imagine that. Imagine the Usos getting smashed by someone, and like Roman's getting smashed. And it just looks like it's the end of the world. And the Bloodline's getting battered. And then out of nowhere, the lost Uso, the forgotten Uso, appears out of nowhere and makes the save. Like that's gonna be an amazing moment, isn't it? Baka Yuka said his name is Joseph Fatu. I've got his name as. Let's have a look. Rikishi comments on his son joining. Let's have a just quick read of this. I mean, this ain't happening for Extreme Rules, but yeah, Joseph Sifa Fatu. As noted on Monday, WWE announced 6 wrestlers have joined. Rikishi congratulated the new recruits and said he's especially proud of his son. Want to watch him up? I'm here. Fatu, the younger brother of the Usos, is known as the Problem on the Indies. Started training at his father's wrestling promotion in 2018, and he's been in quite a few indie promotions since then. Stay tuned for more on Fatu. Rikishi said, congratulations to the new future prospects. Your time is now. I am especially proud of my son. Hashtag the problem at Real Sifa Fatu. And Rikishi said that on August 31st. So going back about just coming up to 3 weeks ago now. Just coming up to 3 weeks ago. So yeah, if we are going to, I definitely would not have him in NXT. I think someone like that a lot of the casuals don't even know exists. I think is going to be that'd be a great, and he looks just like him as well. Of course he does, but he looks just like them. So I love the idea of the Usos and Roman being beaten up, and then he comes down and makes the save. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. I'm surprised that Pep let Carl Walker join WWE. Fatu called the problem. He's a problem child, just like Jake Paul, says Harry. That family is huge. Yeah, the Anoa'i family. And Vince loves them as well. The Anoa'i family, I mean, obviously go all the way back and did a lot of work for Vince in the early days and really helped Vince out. Like, you're talking about the Wild Samoans with Afa and Sika. And then, of course, Yokozuna came through, and that was a big success for Vince. So we had Yokozuna. There was the Head Shrinkers as well that came through with Samu and Fatu. And obviously Fatu going on to be Rikishi. So that's part of that same family as well. Like, when you actually go through, if you sit down and look at the Anoa'i family, it's just a who's who of wrestling royalty, isn't it? And obviously The Rock comes through that as well. Now you got the Usos, you got Roman Reigns. They're all in the same family, as you all know. But there's more. There's loads out there. And Rikishi does have his own wrestling promotion, so they just keep coming through. They're everywhere. You can't escape them. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they book him and see which way they put him. If they put him in NXT or if they put him straight with the Bloodline. Harry said Reigns, Jimmy, Jay, the new Uso, Naomi, and Heyman. That would be godly. It would be unstoppable. I think Roman wins at Extreme Rules, says Life with GTK 15. We've got about 5 minutes. I said we'd stick around for 20 minutes. We're already 5 minutes past that. Austin, shout out to you. Lou said, did you enjoy Man United earlier today? It was good. Yeah, good result. Brilliant result. And very, very dramatic. Very dramatic at the end. So it was kind of a good day for United winning 2-1. Brighton winning 2-1. And Tottenham winning 3-0. Roman will win 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes. And then we're going to go. 5 more minutes, and then we will part ways. It's been really good. Been really, really enjoyable getting everyone's thoughts in the chat. If you are watching and you've not dropped a like, drop a like. It's really, really appreciated for these predictions. I like the idea of doing them, giving them some time. And it's kind of nice to, because normally I just do them in the week, or we drop a video or something like that. But yeah, you know, just being able to sit back and do a couple of hours stream. I mean, we didn't have anything for tonight anyway, so it's kind of cool. So yeah, get in your thoughts. Drop a like if you've not dropped a like. Get in your final thoughts as we head towards the end of the stream. Right, let's read what we can. Austin said, bring Fatu to help Roman beat Brock at Crown Jewel. I will call the cops, said Days. That could actually be really good. Jimmy and Jay can be tag champs. Naomi as SmackDown Women's Champ. The third Uso as IC Champ. And Roman as Universal. They could run this show. That would be good. Really enjoying this live stream, and I'm looking forward to Extreme Rules. Deece Rebel, shout out to you. Appreciate the support. Yeah, it's going to be good. There's matches there that I'm really looking forward to. Delmar said, do you think WWE should split up the Dirty Dogs in the draft? They seem to be going nowhere. I would split them, to be honest. I mean, they're really just like they're a bit like a jobber team in a way. They're a team that, I don't want to say jobbers in the sense of you're just going to easily beat them, but I mean, they are going nowhere. And, you know, you kind of put them up against the Street Profits. Street Profits are going to win. You put them up against, like, I don't know, whoever. The Mysterios, and the Mysterios are going to win. I think even Dominic's got wins over them, hasn't he? So it's like, yeah, they're just sort of like a little jobber tag team now, in all fairness, which is a real shame to say that that's what Bobby Roode has become, and that's what Dolph Ziggler has become. So you either keep doing that with them, or, yeah, break them apart and set them free. Quan DJ said, do you think Roman's time is up with the title? I don't think so. I think it's still working. SmackDown's still bringing in really good ratings. That would suggest that people haven't got bored of the story. And really just judging by people that join us for the watch-alongs, I would say that people haven't got bored of the story. So I think we're all right. But, yeah, I definitely would be looking at him, like, winning against Brock. I don't think Brock should be the one. I think that it should be a case that Roman maybe loses to Balor, but by DQ. And then against Brock, I don't want Brock to be the one. I don't know how we get out of it. I don't know how we, because I think Brock should, Brock needs to look quite strong as well. These two matches are really hard to book. I'm really interested, from a booking point of view, I'm really interested in how they book Roman versus Finn and Roman versus Brock. My guess is that at the end of it, Roman will still be champion. But I think Roman versus Finn you can do as a DQ. But how do you then book Roman Brock? How do you book Roman Brock? You can't do another screwy finish. You can't do 2 screwy finishes in a row. So then you got to do something clean. So that would then suggest Roman beats Brock clean. That can't happen. But are we really saying Brock's going to be the one to beat Roman? I don't know. That is a problem. That is a problem. You can't do a screwy finish because it's another screwy finish. You can't have Brock win because is he the one to beat Roman? But then you can't have Roman win because Brock's however many millions a year. And he can't really beat, you can't lose. So, yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult. I can't wait to see how they book it. It's going to be really interesting. I wasn't a fan of the Bloodline at the start, but I'm thinking of getting their new t-shirt. The booking is going to be the most interesting because we know how badly they book these things. Yeah. Brock needs to go to Raw, says Brony. Monica says, have Fatu come in, but not wanting to join the family. Have him believe it's not what the family should be. Roman and Fatu have a match like they did with Jimmy and John, and then leave the company. That could be interesting. That would be an interesting way of doing it. James Chadwick says, what about Heyman with Odyssey Jones? That would be cool. I don't know if Odyssey Jones might be a little bit green. The only other problem is that Odyssey Jones is like bigger E. It's basically bigger E. So you've got Big E, and then you've got bigger E. Like, Odyssey Jones is big, he's got a smile on his face, he's loving life, he's really positive. I think you might want to keep him as a face. I mean, in all fairness, you might want to keep Gable Steveson as a face as well. So, Heyman, I think, is always seen as being with heels. So that's the only problem with Heyman with Gable Steveson or Heyman with Odyssey Jones, is you'd have to turn them heels. So, I don't know. What about Heyman with, like, Keith Lee? Heyman with Keith Lee, and there's lots of rumours that Keith Lee is about to turn heel. So, Keith Lee coming in as a heel. I mean, we already saw Brock. Do you remember at the Rumble when Keith Lee was coming down? Brock turned to Paul and he went, "Big boy? This is a big boy." So, I've kind of got it in my mind that Keith Lee's not, like, drastically smaller than Brock. I don't think he's, like, down here. You know what I mean? So, it might not be the worst. Odyssey Jones one's a good shout, but I just see him as this big, bubbly, friendly person, so I don't know. Darth said, I was thinking New Day versus Bloodline match. MVP will appear on a big screen injured. He's going to distract Big E and Bobby spears him, leaving him to lose the match. Interesting. Harry says Heyman could manage Big E as a face manager, hyping him up, making him credible. That would be interesting. Have E save Heyman from Lesnar and Reigns, and then take it from there. It won't happen, but it would be cool. It would be very, very interesting. Heyman with Big E, that would be awesome. Bailey used to be a bubbly, friendly person, says Harry. That is true. I don't know, though, would we change... I mean, Gable Stevenson's an Olympic gold medalist. I don't know if you can bring him in as a heel straight away. And Odyssey Jones, I don't know. Would you bring him in as a heel and then turn him face later? Maybe. We haven't seen too much of him. I just know that you look at him in a moment and you just see money. You just see money with Odyssey Jones. There's money there. Dat King says, my predictions are Kenny, Britt, Jericho and Hager, Cody Rhodes, and I think Team Taz interrupts Punk. Dat King, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Now that Dat King is here, it's time to wrap up, guys. So a big thank you to everyone that's joined us. Really appreciate the support. I hope you enjoyed this stream. In fairness, we have done over 2 hours now. So I keep saying like about an hour and a half, blah, 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 blah. Now we're past 2 hours. So we'll wrap it up at that point. So massive thank you to everyone. There were some really interesting points made. If you do want to know the predictions, they are right at the start of the video. So as we said, if you have joined and you're like, well, where's the predictions? It was the first 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes at the start of the video. So they're there. And then we really spent a good hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. I mean, if you think we tend to do like an hour before Raw or whatever going through stuff, we've just done like hour and 40 or whatever going through bits here. So we've definitely covered a lot of stuff. So yeah, really appreciate the support. Hope you have a great evening wherever you are. And of course, we are back tomorrow for Raw. But we will be back next weekend as well for the Extreme Rules watch along. Awesome, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.